Okay, hi. My name's Bill Voice. Welcome to UK GK TV. As you can see, the camera started and I'm eating a biscuit. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves while I finish my biscuit.
Hi, Mike Parker, back again.
My name's Dave Nicholson. People will remember Mike. He's a bit of a sci-fi nut. And as you can tell by his outfit today, he's going to get shot by the what's name. So.
He's going to last long, is he?
The red shirt.
Yeah, he's not going to last long before.
After we stop the camera, this guy's dead.
Yeah. Phasers on stun.
Yeah.
But no, today we're going to talk about 80s sci-fi
movies.
A lot of you guys have asked us about doing these themed episodes, and quite a few guys are really interested in it. Now, sci-fi was a bit of a passion of mine. As we all know, I love the apes, but these guys are absolutely nuts on sci-fi. So these are the experts. I'm just here to intervene with the kit side of things. So I'm going to let them chat on. I'm going to get involved with all these
Biscuits.
The
all
important thing.
Yeah, for all you American guys, you can't touch a digestive biscuit.
A chocolate digestive.
So the lads, we're living a life here. We're living
Here we
like
are.
kings here. So I'm going to let these lads kick off. What they're going to do is we're going to relate it to the model kits out there. Before we get into this episode, there's a couple of little corrections from the last ones. Mm-hmm. This original, that one was not by Darren Harvey. It was by my dear friend Neil. In a series of comic book books. That was the Harvey Dent version. Originally, this came out under a company called Dark Sentinels, which was Killer Kits, but it was our DC characters, but we called them the Dark Sentinels. So that was Neil. Neil's a great guy, done some lovely stuff, and we'll be doing a feature on him later on. The second one was...
Well, we weren't quite sure what that was, were we? We didn't know whether it was movie or whether it was series.
Yeah, it's based on the TV series.
Yeah.
The Netflix TV series, which is probably one of the best TV series for comic book out there, really, along with The Punisher.
Yep. Several people this week have watched the video and they've recommended this to me, so I'm going to actually watch it. It's worth watching.
Punisher's even better. You've never seen a fighting scene. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Punisher is even better.
Really well done.
It's how Punisher. So this is based on
the TV series.
Not film.
Joe's also at the moment putting together a Moon Knight, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is another TV series. Well, I've never seen that either. But if you look on Joe's site on Netflix, he's got. He's just been moulding the wall hanger version of the Moon Knight. He's done the torso, so just a
The
bit
series is very good. It's a shame because they cancelled it after
Did you
one
watch
season.
Jessica Jones?
Did you what?
Jessica Jones.
Oh, I love Jessica Jones.
Do you not think that Neil Tennant was the best bad guy ever in that?
David Tennant.
David Tennant.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant.
Neil Tennant's
Neil
a
Tennant,
keyboard player, isn't he?
David Tennant was chilling. He
West
really
End
was.
Girls, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
he
even
does.
more chilling, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
So,
Right, guys, where are we up to?
1980s.
Well, we got to kick off with Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, my. If I have to have a favourite Star Wars movie, this is my favourite.
We've been talking, haven't we?
We've been talking.
I couldn't decide. Return of the Jedi is 83. Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back is 80. So we should start there. But sometimes I love both of them. But talking to you, I think you're probably right. Empire Strikes Back got more of an edge to it, I think.
To me, The Empire Strikes Back is the Macbeth of Star Wars. It's when everybody gets a kind of comeuppance. Luke gets a comeuppance for being arrogant and thinking he's important, and he gets his hand chopped off.
Yeah.
Darth Vader's just a shadow of a man. I mean, Arthur Miller could have wrote that, couldn't he? Come on, it's like what's the guy in the View? What's the guy in the Death of a Salesman? What's he called?
Willie Loman.
Willie Loman. Darth Vader. Willie Loman. I'm sorry, but there's got to be parallels. And to me, the reason I love it is because, number one, it's dark. Number two, there's no teddy bears.
I thought it was that little green thing in it. What's he called? The one with the big ears.
Yoda's in it the first time.
What-
We see
what-
Yoda for the first time.
We're not talking about you, Ben. Carry on.
So I think it's a dark movie. I think it was going in the right direction. And even though I don't dislike Return of the Jedi, I thought Return of the Jedi was great. But with Return of the Jedi, I felt there was a commercialism built into that was going to sell toys.
Yeah.
Just.
It's funny, we were talking, I was saying that Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas always had the eye on the money. Because he put up the 30 million for it and then loaned the rest rather than getting it from the production company. But when the money came in, he gave his production team, not each, but they gave a $5 million bonus to them.
And that was a lot of money back then.
Well, it was.
was
And
1980
and they'd already been paid quite well.
Do you not think, but from a Garage Kid perspective, Star Wars, it does now It does. It's generating a lot of 3D printed stuff. But in the day when I started out, there wasn't an awful lot of Star Wars related items, and I think it was because it's heavily licensed, and we all know that's for another episode, the licensing. But when I first got into the hobby, there didn't seem to be a big presence of Star Wars garage kits. They were there, but they weren't massive. I mean, we do two. We do Princess Leia, 1/6 scale Princess Leia.
Very
Slave
nice.
Girl, that's every teenage boy's dream.
Yeah,
in the
Definitely.
Metal bikini.
I wonder. I don't know why, but it was. And we do a stormtrooper, like a snow trooper. Is it the one with the funny helmet? Snow trooper with.
With the sort of like almost like a kind of a veil.
Got like a T shape. It's a biker scout.
Oh, so it's.
See, I know more about it than these, and he's supposed to like it.
Well, you see, the biker ones I quite liked because there was. I love the animation on that because it was Phil. Was it Phil Tippett? Phil Tippett did the animation on the flying motorcycles through the sequoia trees.
Right.
And some of it is like live action, and some of it is actual animation. If you look at it, you can see stop motion animation. And Phil Tippett's the genius, and he came up with a computer program that blended the steps. So Phil Tippett, he was down for doing the original Jurassic Park as well, and that was who Luke. I think it was Spielberg got in start off with, and he did some sample scenes. That the scene in the Raptors in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
That was done originally by Phil Tippett as a stop motion. So you can actually see it, and it's rather good actually. It's but it does. It's very Harryhausen.
Right, okay.
But it's got its limitations. But I do love a bit of stop motion. I just think it's an art.
Would you not think that the Star Wars thing it's ruined for me when you've got these little teddy bears fetching these great big
That's my
Ewoks.
well teddy bears are fetching these great big walking things down.
It's the proliferation of toys. I think stopped it as a garage hobby.
Yeah.
You mean you couldn't go to say Woolworths and pick up I was going to talk about it in a minute, a thing collectible, could you? They're not going to have. They're not going to have little exploding chests and like.
You can now.
Armless explorers, are they? You can
he?
now, but McFarlane changed that.
Yeah.
But,
I must say, I liked the Princess Leia lying in front of Jabba.
There's
Jabba in the background.
There's a big kit, isn't there?
Yeah, it's about
You
that
often
big.
see it at
Very,
shows,
very nice.
yeah.
It's very nice. See that often.
You don't. But my point is, you don't genuinely see a lot of Star Wars stuff, but you are beginning now, and I can't understand why. To see a lot more 3D stuff like Mandalorian and Boba Fett. And is it Boba or Boba Fett?
I call it Boba Fett, but I'm not bothered.
Which one?
I call it
Call
Boba
him
Fett.
what you like. He's going to
Boba
kill
Fett,
you if
whatever.
he doesn't like you.
I mean, there's a cult character that was in the film for about 2 seconds, wasn't he, or something? He wasn't in it for very long. And apparently, spoiler, he didn't die.
Jetpacks out.
Does he jetpack
yeah,
out
he
in
comes-
the...
he's in and
no,
he
he
comes
doesn't,
out.
does he? Because he falls into the Sarlacc
Oh,
pit. He
gosh.
falls into the Sarlacc pit, and he's going to be digested for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Right? But he jetpacks out.
Yeah. So he basically
So you
isn't
spoiled
dead.
it for me now.
He isn't dead. He isn't dead.
There's a Peter Cushing bust, isn't there? What was Peter Cushing's role?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
There's a bust of him.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen.
that's-
Yeah,
Very
there's a
Very
few, but considering the amount of Batmans and the amount
Yeah.
of Draculas and Frankensteins, for God's sake, and Lugosi's, Star Wars seems to, considering it's a big franchise, to me, I just don't know what. I mean,
think
you
people
guys-
perhaps won't take the risk. I mean, you're going to get sued if you don't do them right. Stick to the limit.
Yeah, but the 3D stuff now, there's so many that surely they're taking the same risk. I just don't understand. For me, it's an oddity because I never wanted to invest in Star Wars. Not because, just joking apart, I didn't invest in the Star Wars thing for killer kits because there didn't seem to be that much interest in the kits. There's Millennium Falcons and the hardware, but not that
Yeah,
much.
but AMT did a load of them in the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, didn't
So
they?
it was
And
kind
then
of weird for me.
Revel did them as well.
So if you guys can shed a bit of light why there wasn't enough Star Wars characters, or was there too many? There was too many for my point of view,
Surely
but there you
Doctor
go.
Who is the same case
Yeah.
as what? Why not
Planet
more
of the
Doctor Who?
Planet of the Apes is the same. I think genuinely it's because the garage kit industry is more niche and it's more unusual and it's less mainstreamed and we're going quite mainstream because there's not an awful lot of Trek.
No, there's not a lot to it, but I would go as far as to say I think you leave to an extent, and you can talk to me about this in the comments.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will. as you get a bit older, you kind of leave Star Wars behind and gravitate for something a little bit more intellectually fulfilling. Like June, maybe.
What, like a gorilla on an horse?
Oh, gorilla on a horse with a machine gun. Now, you can't beat that concept.
That's
but
very intellectual.
I would say that would be it, because,
Yeah.
I mean, I was into Trek and Wars when I was a kid, and as I got older, I gravitated towards Trek.
Yeah.
Because there was more...
Shatner's an hero, isn't he? It's
Well,
like, if you can
Well,
sleep
it's just more
Shatner's
intelligence.
one of the most
He was
influential
great.
They had
people
such,
on my
such,
life.
they
you
had
have to
such
say.
great plot
Shatner
lines.
was
Shatner
brilliant.
was
Shatner was
brilliant.
ace. He was just
The Kobayashi Maru, right?
Brilliant.
This is Shatner for me, and I've applied this to all my dealings with my business and
What,
professional
you cheat
life.
regularly?
If you cannot get out of the problem, change the problem. And that Kobayashi Maru, there should be a book that's called Kobayashi Maru, Management for Beginners. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. If anybody doesn't know about the Kobayashi Maru...
Oh,
We're coming back to Star Trek.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're
I'm sorry,
not
anyway,
talking
anyway.
about politics, lads. Now,
We're not. We're talking about life skills, man.
But talking about things that are
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit more niche, Escape from New York is 81.
Oh, well, yeah. I
Brilliant
loved it.
film.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Great fun.
Yeah.
It's just great fun. It's
John
typical
Carpenter.
80s. There's a lot of action in a lot of 80s movies. That's a
It's
big blockbuster thing, you know.
Do you
but-
think it'd work in this day and age?
Yeah.
No,
And
I've
they
kind of
talking
been
about
to
a
New
remake?
York and I don't see the difference.
Aren't they talking about a remake now or something?
Oh, I hope not. What's he going to
don't-
be?
I
And what we got here is talking to Kurt Russell. We've got now Escape from New York and
Escape
Escape
from
from
New York,
LA.
yeah.
There was quite a few companies in the States that did kits of them.
Mm-hmm.
There was a company called Death Inc. in the 90s. They did a Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
And then you've got your Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
I quite like that one.
I do.
There's recently been a bust out by Jeff Yeager, Big Trouble in Little China. Sound like Donald Trump, don't I?
Yeah.
So
Big Trouble in Little China.
China, yeah.
China.
So there's quite a few. So that again, that to me that sits more comfortable. There's more stuff for that for some reason than Star Trek. I don't understand. It seems like a.
He's a
cult-
great character, isn't he?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
know about the eye patch?
Go on.
It's Kurt Russell's idea.
Why?
I mean, basically, it was literally the day of filming, and Kurt Russell put the eye patch on and said, "I like this." And Carpenter said, "Yeah, okay," and that was it. He went with the eye patch from that moment on.
It's just. Was he in Guardians of the Galaxy as well?
He was. He
Okay.
played the dad in that, didn't
Yeah,
he? Played
he
the
was
Astro
good.
dad.
Good.
So it's well. So the Escape from New York and LA, they're well
the
represented.
Escape from LA lets itself down with the CGI submarine scene. There's a little
it
CGI submarine scene, and it was early in the CGI canon, wasn't it? And he gets into this little submarine to get into LA, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it just looks so fakey that
I don't know.
they
I didn't
could
seem
have
to.
used a model.
I don't know what it was about the first one. It had more heart in it than the second one. The second one felt like it was.
Seat
like
of the
written-
pants, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You could see that Carpenter kind of made some of it up as he went along.
Donald Pleasance was the.
villain.
No, wasn't he the one kidnapped?
Oh, he was the president.
He was the president.
Oh, yeah, he was the president.
And
wasn't
he
Yeah.
was. He said he found the part the easiest ever done because he was a prisoner of war in the Second World War.
He
And
was.
and he was basically
that's
just doing
how
the same
he,
thing.
because he was in the Great Escape, and that's
Yeah.
how he acted through the Great Escape.
Yeah,
Was his
just
own personal
tapped into that.
experiences. Yeah.
But
How do you explain Halloween then?
Halloween.
hopefully not. Right, next
That was
one.
based on a really bad divorce he had.
Yeah, apparently.
Next one. I don't know. People take the piss out of E.T., but E.T. was and is
E.T..
a genius
We're
film.
actually talking about E.T. now. Go on.
E.T. is a great film.
I loved it.
I mean, it really is. I mean, there's loads of vision to it. The bit where they're coming to get them with the suits on and the light outside.
Can you
Beautifully
remember
done.
when E.T. first came out? Everybody had a dodgy copy of it, didn't they?
It was.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
one of
I
the
went-
early stolen.
Oh,
yeah.
it must have been the most copied film pirated ever in the existence.
I like it because it explored the notion of an alien not being
Yeah.
a humanoid as us.
Yeah.
Because it was a strange little, almost like a turtle without a shell. And I love the idea of an alternative physical universe. And the stuff, when you see the spaceships and stuff, you can see that the spaceships are built around their physiognomy. Is that what that would be the word?
Physiology?
Physiology. So the spaceship, when it comes down at the end and you see it land, it's kind of cute. And it looks a bit like... Yeah, and it's the fact that these creatures are super advanced intelligent life.
They can
Yeah,
fly.
yeah, they are kind.
Yeah.
And I think that's what...
Don't forget the flying bike as well.
That's flying
You've got to
bike.
go for the flying bike.
What's that latest
think these-
movie with the little flying saucers in that tower block.
Oh, I love that.
Because those little saucers look very much...
Spielberg.
That's Spielberg again, isn't it?
Producer, I think.
Yeah, but those little spaceships...
Super 8 one. That's
No, it's much older than that.
It's
little
older
Chinese spaceships
flying around
in the
inside
loft.
a loft in New York in this.
Really good fun. Quite a movie.
But they looked, quite a moving film. But they look a little bit like the ET spaceships. I think that's like a kind of almost like, oh well, let's use these.
And don't forget, ET did have a hard edge because I mean, the whole idea of the oppressive state, the villains were the government.
When they tent up the house and come to extract him, and he dies basically. That I felt like that was a cruelty.
I'll tell you,
the vivisection
I can remember
notion.
being there in the cinema.
Yeah,
I can't remember a single dry eye. Everybody was
still,
crying, including me.
Still jokes.
These guys are modern men. They're in touch with the feelings. These guys do all this. We're inclusive guys. We're in touch with them.
In terms of models, I mean, they're just
nothing. Hardly anything.
I mean, there were loads of toys. I've got 2 of the originals at home, the ones that talk to each other with magnets in the hand.
There was a large scale bust by Iowa Sam Studios, and there's been small busts. Nothing major, unfortunately, with ET. I think the guys are doing this on purpose now to get.
Do you not think? I don't know though. Do you not think there'd be money in an ET model a decent? It's a big film. Still
not
today.
sure. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Unless you've got Michael Jackson behind him, that'd be really scary.
My vote is for zombie ET. I'm just saying, we've got a zombie hamster somewhere in the room. I'm thinking zombie.
What's in these?
Hallucinogenic
biscuits.
Hallucinogenic mushroom digestives. Yeah. No, zombie ET. Go on, give it a go.
Good film. Not many garage kits. Life size bust.
Yeah.
Right. Next one. I am a bit of a Trekkie.
You would never know. Honestly, you would never know.
You would never know.
Would you?
You really
would.
Oh,
hang on. That's his wife there.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Give. Oh, I love this.
Is that not a Motorola phone? Is that not
one of the most influential props in the history of television?
That is a Motorola phone.
That is responsible
for Motorola.
Every mobile phone you've ever seen.
Yeah. Look. That's a Motorola phone.
I tell you what, when I got my Motorola, the first thing I said is I rang my girlfriend and said, "Beam me up, Scotty."
And I bet she said,
and she went, "What are you talking about?" Right.
I've even got the tricorder.
It's got tricorder
now. God.
Look, I was saying this.
Look at that.
Look, Motorola iPhone, that will tell you, it will translate, it will analyse, basically these handheld devices.
Rate and everything, won't it?
Do you know there is a kind of tricorder today? They've got ones that'll sense gas and all sorts of things.
Stuff. Yeah. My phone tells me about my phone. When I've got my iWatch on, it'll tell me my oxygen levels in my finger and everything. And if I'm sat down and my heart rate's too quick, it'll just tell me. How scary is that?
The only thing is, you see, if you nowadays you go, "All right, Jim, send me a photograph," and Jim would say, "I'll just get my camera out."
Yeah,
and
I can't do it. We're breaking up.
But that's it. The only thing about which is wrong with this, it didn't have a camera. I mean,
you got to admit there was some faults with Star Trek, because every time Captain Kirk asked him to do something, he said he cannot do it.
Can I do it?
And the ship nearly destroyed itself, didn't it? Every single time.
But the argument was he could do it. He just told Jim, because he was a union man. He just told Jim he was going to take. "I can only do it in 3 hours." He goes, "You got to get it done quicker than that, Scotty." And he goes, he's falling for it.
Later on, he tells the trainee engineer, doesn't he? He tells the trainee engineer to always double it or something.
Always double it.
I
think that's the.
So Wrath of Khan.
Oh, Wrath of Khan.
Most people's favourite. It's the thing about the what is it? The curse of the odd numbers.
All the odd numbers
Star Trek support. The even numbers are brilliant.
Yeah.
Wrath of Khan is most people's favourite. It's not mine. But
really,
my favourite is The Undiscovered Country '91. Unfortunately,
I'd say that was the next best one.
Brilliant.
Do you prefer the TV or the films?
Well, I have to prefer the series simply because there were loads and loads of very, very clever ideas in the series.
I preferred the series. I like the series.
I mean, the first Star Trek film, the motion picture, was just an expanded version of it was what was it called? Star Trek the Motion Picture 17.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Star Trek Series 6 or something, wasn't it? And it started off as a concept of a series of episodes, and then they cobbled the script together into a single film in the end, didn't they?
I mean, the episode, it's based on one episode of Star Trek.
Yeah,
it's based on that one thing where the machine where the machine wants to destroy them because
them. Yeah.
which
You know what
basically
mine
the same
is?
plot.
Weirdly enough, and this is very controversial. No, when he went back and redid Kirk as a youngster, the first one.
The films.
The films, that's
Yeah.
my favourite one. When he went back and redid it. Was it Chris Pine?
Chris Pine,
Chris
yeah.
Pine,
I thought
I
liked it.
I thought that was good.
Great music
I really
too.
enjoyed
I
that.
felt they got ahead of themselves in those films though, because he didn't build up the relationship between Jim and Spock long enough for them to have the
By
scene.
the time they got to film 2, you
Two,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
In film 2, when they sort of swap the Spock thing around, don't they? With Jim dies instead of Spock. But one of the touching things about it is, in the original movies, when Spock dies in the end of it's the second one, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the Wrath of
Spoiler
Khan.
alert, guys.
Everybody knows who hasn't seen it. It's your fault you haven't seen it. So basically, that relationship between those two people must have been a massive wrench. I mean, when he says, the good of, was it? Sometimes the good of the many outweighs the good of the few.
Yeah, that's it.
And that is, I know for an American serial, it's remarkably
It's very good.
socialist
It's
in its
excellent.
outcome, isn't it?
And then, of course, I mean, we're doing 82, so The Voyage Home is 86, and The Voyage Home,
Oh,
one of the
fantastic
best
comedy!
scenes, it is, but one of the best scenes ever in
Double
any
dumbass
Star
on
Trek.
you.
Yeah.
Double dumbass.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
the bit
again,
on the
guys,
bus. The
not
bit
less-
on the bus.
bus is great
Brilliant,
when they
you know.
just Spock pinch
Shuts
the guy,
it.
doesn't it?
It's
Just
brilliant.
Yeah, again, guys, not many garage kids.
not many garage kids.
Trouble
Oh,
with
you know, you've
Oh,
got,
well,
you've
yeah,
got
come
Spock.
on, the
You've
Spock.
got
this
That's
one.
brilliant,
We got-
Spock.
we got-
Tell us
we
about
got-
the
we
Spock.
got,
Shatner.
We've got a Shatner and a Spock, and we've also got there's also a company out there called Needful Things that do the Trouble with Tribbles.
Really? I've not
Yeah.
seen that. Let's
That's
have
a
a look at
Spock
that.
and a Kirk holding
Wonderful.
the furry Tribbles, which, if you remind me later on, I'll put you in touch with a guy. that's
The
got
tribbles are actually furry, aren't they? You get
Yeah,
the tribbles, you
yeah,
get furry tribbles with
So
it.
they're the
But-
ones with that. And
By the way, just to finish, I mean, if I know you haven't watched it, I don't think either of you have, but Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, is definitely a return to the quality.
Right.
It's very, very good.
The best episode of Deep Space Nine is when they go back in time.
Oh,
they
it's
end up on the
beautifully
Enterprise.
done.
That is beautifully done.
Beautifully done.
It is beautifully done. That,
Everything
I
cut
would-
in
everything's
seamlessly.
cut in
It's
seamlessly. You've got to say,
Great.
brilliant. It
Yeah.
spawned a million good things, even if it did do. a few
And you
bad
know, I could talk about Star Trek all day, but
things.
next one, The Thing. I mean, just
again, we're onto like a cult movie here, and this seems to.
this is not finished, by the way.
Yeah,
This
not
is half
finished.
painted.
This is
I mean,
half painted. This is sculpted by Andy Copeland, and it's the McCready by Kirk Russell.
This has got huge legs.
Legs
as well.
on it.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
then we have the
Oh.
Spiderhead sculpted by Darren Harvey. I'm guessing that's life size. Yeah,
Yeah,
life size.
Actually, you know the I was looking. I didn't know this, but the person who did the special effects, Rob Bottin is his name.
Yeah.
And he did the special effects for RoboCop, which we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. In a bit.
Oh right.
Do you know I did the? You know the bit where the sort of snake-like things
Yeah.
lash out to grab hold of things. Do you know how he did that? It's just his whip. It's a whip.
It's actually
he
a whip.
literally whips it out,
like
and
that.
films it.
I
Brilliantly
didn't
done.
know that now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Well, I
brilliantly
thought
done.
that would have been like on some sort of pneumatic.
Yeah, so did I.
So, yeah,
but no,
gotcha.
he had to make do. It wasn't a
But
great budget.
You know what? It's the pinnacle of the visceral pinnacle of good old fashioned real time effects,
yeah,
practical
practical.
effects.
Do you think it still stands up?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, God.
yeah, God, yeah.
The tension is unbelievable. I watched it
the
for about
gore.
the fourth time only about 6 months ago, and it's still absolutely gripping. The refrigerator, they had to cool the bloody set down to 40 degrees to get this special
When he's
effect.
pumping the stomach and his arms go through, and the ribs turn into jaws and bite his arms off. They actually used an amputee for that film. They actually used a Vietnam.
my
I think it
God.
was a Vietnam amputee. They substituted the actor, and then when it goes like that and the arms pull off, it's a real actor with having the prosthetic arms
Wow.
bitten off. And then as it stretches, he goes whoa like that, and the blood spurts out. I think, whoa! I still flinch when I watch that. I can't. It's like you're on a very cliff edge when I see that scene, and I know what's coming, and it still makes me go, whoa!
It's the biggest disappointment of Carpenter's life, apparently, because the film bombed. I mean, it bombed
understand
out
why
of sight.
It's
Partly
a
because
cult
it
film,
came,
though.
it came out across the same time as E.T. That doesn't help.
Right, okay.
82 is packed with big
Yeah.
films. But also, people didn't understand. There were people saying, this is just violence, no intelligence. The fact that it was based on, what was it called, The Thing from
The
Outer
Thing from
Space,
Outer-
and
yeah,
what was the
Thing
story
from
called?
Another World, I think it was called.
Yeah,
wasn't
what
it?
was the story called? The short story.
It was a short story by someone quite really famous.
Yeah, the Out I can't remember which
The
called.
Outsider,
Great
was
little
it?
search,
Yeah.
great little short story.
Great.
So
1950s
it's an
movies worth a
intelligent
watch.
film.
1950s
It really
movies
is.
also worth a
But people didn't understand it. It bombed.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
But
And
he
it-
made his money in the end.
And it does have a very good showing of Garage Kits guys.
Yeah.
There's the Americans side of the water pond. They love it. They've got quite a few bits and pieces for the thing. We do quite a few, and we do really, really well with them. So they've picked one that's got Garage Kits. Next one.
I actually saw. Sorry to interrupt, but I actually saw a reenactment club at Horror Fest in Manchester. They had a shed. They had fake
Yeah, I've
snow.
seen that,
They
yeah.
had all different sculptures of the different mangled.
Did they have it
bodies.
leaping out of the?
Yeah, they had all sorts of like fire, and they had like people dressed up in Arctic jumpsuits, and they were like, and they actually had real props from the film on a table in glass cases.
Wow.
So, all power to your elbows, mate. That's
The remake
a
I
reenactment.
thought was okay, but it wasn't. It when you compared it to the
You
original,
used to be an English teacher.
Yeah,
Right? The word whelmed. Right.
Overwhelmed.
Now,
Here we go.
Underwhelmed, overwhelmed, and whelmed.
Yeah.
So what does whelmed mean? It means nothing, does it? So whelmed means nothing. Overwhelmed means wow. Underwhelmed means
Yeah.
Well, that film, that thing too, I was whelmed.
Yeah.
Absolutely
it was okay.
Nothing.
No.
I had
It
no
was
emotional
just
response.
Instantly
to it at all.
forgettable as well. Whereas
Instant-
you still remember everything about the
And
thing.
it was just a repeat.
It was. It really was.
It didn't take it to like a. I don't know. He could have taken it to a children's nursery in Birmingham, or I don't know, or the White House or something.
I don't know what nurseries you've been to.
I mean, it's one of those. You can always tell a good film by whether or not you.
He's
can
just
watch
playing
it
with
again.
his
I'm just
tricorder
trying to
here.
get-
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get something.
He's just got Klingons on the
He's got
starboard
Klingons
bow.
on it, yeah. Do you remember the record?
Um, So
yeah.
the great
Oh,
poster.
great
as well,
poster.
thing.
I love the
Wonderful.
poster. Ah,
You
it's a
know, it's
poster.
wonderful.
Ah, yeah.
Right, the next one. Well, I don't think there's many models, but we couldn't do the 80s without Blade Runner.
Oh.
82 again.
Now, funnily enough, there is quite a few. Talking about the ones that I know, there's quite a few. When I first started out, keep going about. In the day, there was a nice company in the Far East called M1. They did a great Deckard figure. Mike Hill did probably one of the best Deckard 1-to-1 busts that you're ever going to see. And I used to have the blaster from that he used to carry, the gun, the blaster.
Oh, yeah,
And it was from a
the
company.
retirement gun.
Yeah, and it was like got
yeah.
marbled handles, and that was a beauty. I wish I hadn't sold
I've
it.
seen Pris, the
Yeah.
girl with the.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
blonde
yeah.
hair,
I've seen Batty.
Roy Batty.
Yeah,
We do a Roy
and
Batty.
I've seen Sebastian recently.
Okay.
We do a
You know
Roy
that-
Batty.
It's about the guy with the Lazarus disease.
Yeah, the genius,
the faulty
basically.
genius,
Yeah, with a very distinctive face. I've
Yeah.
seen him
I
recently.
would
So
hazard.
it does have that again. You're going into the culty type films, and they seem to they seem to have more.
I mean, it's generally. I mean, it's for me. It's I'd be very hard put to know what is the greatest science fiction film ever made.
But that's
for
close.
me, Blade Runner is
Blade
probably
Runner's
it.
close. I have to say that the soundtrack, Dykstra, who did Star Wars effects, it was the effects, the scenes, the constant rain, the total authenticity of it, the notion of mechanical reproduction of life
Yeah.
forms,
Which is so
which
cutting
is
edge
so
now.
cutting edge now.
Yeah.
The robotics.
They say sci-fi is the future, isn't it?
The
They do, though, don't
Yeah.
they?
And I mean that city, that landscape, that has been ripped off so many times because it was so original.
Well, I stayed in Las Vegas, and I tell you what, when the Tyrrell Corporation as you're coming in.
Yeah.
I was flying over Las Vegas in a helicopter.
Like you do.
I can't tell you about it.
With your cravat, with his cravat.
As I was flying down Las Vegas to the airport in a helicopter, which cost an absolute earth, I went past this hotel I was staying in, which is like an Egyptian pyramid.
Oh,
I think it's
yeah.
called the Memphis Hotel or whatever, but it's massive. It's bigger than you can imagine, and it was like flying towards the Tyrrell Corporation. And I thought to myself, I'm in Blade Runner. I'm in Blade Runner. And I made the mistake once of saying to a friend of mine who was a good friend, and I said, she was talking about Harrison Ford movies, and she was a big fan of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I think most people, when they're just a big fan of Harrison Ford, they're
Yeah.
talking Witness, they're talking Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I said,
Star
my
Wars.
favourite, Star Wars. And I said, oh, well, it's a little film called Blade Runner, you might not have heard about this. And she just went absolutely mad with me. She said, of course I've heard of Blade Runner. And she tells me about Blade Runner, and it was nice to see somebody who wasn't a big, I didn't understand was a big sci-fi fan, but like a Harrison Ford fan. But they saw this movie as almost like a Grail movie.
Yeah.
Because it is one of his most serious
Absolutely.
attempts at
I
proper...
prefer the original. I mean, there's 5 different versions, I think.
Yeah.
I prefer the original.
First one,
with the
voiceover.
narrative over the top. I think it's
Detective
brilliant.
movie.
And leaving that thing about whether or not he was a replicant.
You didn't need that.
You didn't really need it at all.
Because that's all in the book. If you've read the book is hard going. Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Philip K. Dick.
Philip K. Dick, who's a great writer.
Writer.
The Running Man, was he the Running Man, or was that Stephen King or something? But he's done, but he's done a lot of Philip K. Dick stuff's been done on, but I have to say that for once, and I'm not a big fan of Ridley Scott because I think he's flawed, but that and Alien are brilliant.
I mean, it cost 30 million. It only took 39 million. It was regarded as a failure. It was crucified by lots of critics who thought it was slow and boring. I just cannot understand what they were thinking of. And I mean, the thing is, it's just like The Thing in the sense that over years, it's aged well. It's aged well, and of course, it's earned him a lot of money over the years.
And you know, it's a hard-boiled detective fiction, isn't it?
Yeah,
just in the future.
It's got enormous film noir quality.
It's like The Big Sleep, isn't it?
It is.
It's like The Big Sleep,
and that's why I like the narrative.
Yeah,
the voiceover.
The voiceover, you've got it. Yeah, I prefer it.
Wonderful, and I'm glad there are still models around.
It's been well represented, Blade Runner. I think, like I keep saying, I think the more culty the figure is, the film is, people kind of rebel and they don't want to look at the toys. They want to buy something like you guys. If you see, I want that.
Yeah.
So I know Brian.
I'm not very good with faces, but I've got to say I keep thinking about buying the Priss or Batty because they're such great iconic people.
What we got next, mate?
I was going to say actually one thing I should say is the Vangelis music to Blade Runner is
superb,
gobsmacking. I mean, there's an unselfish musician composer
because
it's not a score. It's like it's
character themes.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's character themes. Is it Rachel the replicant?
Yeah, Rachel.
Rachel's theme is an absolute delight. You could play it at a wedding.
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't invite them.
Right, the next one on to really... there's some models for a little film called The Terminator. I think there
just
might
a bit. Probably one of them, along with Predator, it's probably one of the most... we've just fetched a little kit out, by the way.
I know. I
here we
find
go.
it, Dave. You've got a fantastic kit of...
No, we've just fetched a little kit out, lads.
All right.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, guys. All you lovely guys that have ordered this kit.
The Winston effect.
That's what you're going to get. This is the Terminator there. So if you like Terminator, you might get some.
You might be able to save up and get this one.
Fantastic. I mean, the Terminator himself.
Terminator or Terminator 2. Which one do you prefer?
Well,
let's forget about the others.
Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, what a fantastic
design.
And what a design.
Let's forget about the other films. Terminator 1 or 2.
It's so hard because Terminator 2 is such a roller coaster ride, isn't it?
It really is.
The character comes to the fore, and you know you get this notion of it's the reversal of the villain to hero role. I like that. It's done really well. It's not done in a cheesy way, but the first movie was breathtaking. Yeah.
What's that of then? Kyle Reese, that the first film?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
That's sculpted by one of the UK legends, Alan I. Hansen. He did Kyle Reese. He did Terminator from the first film, Schwarzenegger, and probably the definitive Terminator for me, bust from Terminator 2, which was Hardy.
You've got a great bust of the Terminator now.
You've just got it.
I know. I thought you'd have on here so I could show, but
that's the same guy.
It's the best I've ever seen.
I used a lot of his catchphrases at school.
Have you not?
Like,
I'll be back.
I'm just nipping to. I go to sixth form. Just nipping to the toilets. I'll be back.
Do you use "come with me if you want to live"?
Yeah, I do. I say that. I say, "Come with me if you want to live."
I've got a good one for you guys.
Yeah.
I had to let him go.
Oh, that's good. I had to let him go.
What film's that then?
Commando.
Commando.
I didn't know about Cameron.
Sorry for them really poor Arnie impressions.
No, but you've got to do a bad one. You can't do a good one. You can't do a good impression of himself.
Go on.
We've got a friend in the States called Norbert, and he's from Germany, and he looks like Arnie.
Oh, right.
And he sounds like
Okay.
Arnie.
Oh,
And when he
right.
goes,
Is this episode for him then?
yeah, get to the job and now. That's how he talks, and he's probably one of the most gentle, kindest, nicest guys. So big shout out to Norbert. You're a great guy, but he does get some stick about that. I remember.
It's a good thing to get stick about.
Well, he was at the UKGK show a few years ago, and we had a little Spanish guy with him, and I was a bit naughty, really. I booked him a room, but I only got him one bed. Oh dear!
Confession time.
And apparently, Daniel snored like a. So he snored quite badly. So every time when we went for a drink in the pub the night before we were due to go back, we all were going, "Get to the bed, no." Sorry, Norbert. Sorry.
It's James Cameron, of course.
James Cameron.
He wasn't, he'd done some films, but he wasn't big enough to get the budget. So he did it on 6.4 million. It made 78 million.
Oh, it's brilliant. Terminator was.
And he did what was called guerrilla filmmaking. So
he
in
just
order
turned
to, he did things without permission, without the consents that they needed. He filmed at odd hours of the night in order to get some of the shots.
Right, so the nightclub film basically was done
everything was
at
done
night.
like, we're going to film this, let's go. And then go, film it, and then disappear.
Good love. I still enjoy them now.
Absolutely.
I love Arnie
Not so
movies.
much after the second Terminator. It kind of goes a little bit.
Yeah.
Once you lost Arnie from it,
He came back in one.
came back
he did
too.
come back.
He came back for
but-
the last one.
The last one, but once you
quite
lost
enjoyed
Arnie
that.
from it, I found it was quite good. But I felt that the two intervening films would have been better.
Genesis.
That should have just been a
Christian
TV
Bale
series.
one.
Yeah.
Is that the Christian Bale
But the
one?
last one, I really enjoyed it. It's
Oh,
quite
I've
touching.
yet to see that.
actually.
I'll watch that.
It's
Is that
good.
when he came back as an old Terminator?
Yeah, that's right. And Linda Hamilton's back in it. Very, very good. Is that her name?
Terminator,
Very, very
probably.
good.
And if
Beauty and the Beast.
Mike shows us, if you just pass us the plastic one behind the back of.
Oh God, yeah. Listen, I painted this many years ago, so it's shit quality painting, I'm afraid. But
it's nice that, mate. Don't worry.
Can anybody, you guys from the 90s, remember that? That's the Horizon, slightly over 6 scale. They did a T8.
Is it vinyl?
yeah,
They-
it's,
that's-
I
End
can't
of
remember how
Scotland.
many years I've had it.
Now,
I
in this-
painted it in enamel. That's how bad I was.
Yeah.
Is it Humbrels or Airfix?
Umbrella enamel.
Now, this, if you were into your garage kits, if you didn't have this kit in the 90s,
were nobody?
there's something wrong with you. There was this one. There was the absolute pain in the bum, which was the Endoskeleton, and there was the T1000, which is Patrick Stewart guy. What's his name?
No,
Patrick.
I know
his
the
name?
actor. He's quite.
Is it? It was the one who took over in the X-Files.
Yeah,
He's the
it's
guy
right,
from
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
You know the one, the police
the
officer,
one.
the police guy.
I
the
think
police guy.
didn't he play
Stewart,
Joaquin
somebody
Phoenix's
Stewart, isn't
dad
he?
in the biopic of?
I'm sure it's
of-
someone Stewart, isn't it?
Is it someone Stewart?
No, it's Patrick something. He's
Terminator 2.
So
There we go.
basically,
we're looking at our tricorder.
there
again.
was that many of these Terminator kits in the day.
I tell you what though,
That is a
getting that in the day when you got
was
that,
lovely,
and it was
man.
commercially available vinyl
That
kit.
was a vinyl kit.
That was amazing.
There
That
was-
the Endoskeleton vinyl.
Yeah.
Robert
You're joking.
Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
Not Patrick Summit. Yeah, the Endoskeleton was like
It was a
vinyl.
nightmare.
Vinyl.
I had
It
it,
used to
and to
stick.
try and get its
It all
legs.
used to fall to
oh,
bits,
it
didn't
just
it?
fall bits all the time.
Did
It
you
was
have to put
dreadful.
strengthening
Yeah,
rods
I
and
ended up with
wire
I
rods
ended
in
up with
it?
a big piece of milliput stuck under its legs. The legs
The
stuck
legs
into it. It
the
was the only way I
legs
could do
supported
it. It was
But the
awful.
likeness is pretty
That's
damn
good,
good
that's
on
good.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
It is.
obviously, I mean, it wasn't well painted, but that's the one thing people don't realise. Enamel fades. That's
Yeah.
changed to a
Yeah,
horrible
it's
yellow,
changed, yeah.
and it's all faded.
Yeah.
isn't
So the Terminator guys still to this day gets covered. It's probably one of the most popular films, mainstream popular films, which does spawn a lot of garage
Yeah,
kits.
I think it resonates as well, doesn't it? I
Yeah,
mean,
Sean
Stan-
Nagel,
Stan
Sean
Winston-
Nagel
Stan
did a
Winston
really
worked on
good
Stan
one.
Winston-
Stan
of-
Winston worked
Stan
on the
Winston
special
worked
effects.
on it.
Stan Winston
Yeah,
worked on
Stan
them,
worked
yeah.
on that.
But Sean Nagel did one of the scene in the second film where he's walking, a resin kit, where he's walking with the roses on the base and the flowers under his arms. That was
Yeah,
quite
Oh, the
that's
gun.
the one. At
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah.
one at the funeral part?
Yeah.
At the cemetery when
Yeah,
he
he's
goes
got his
in the
shades
coffin.
on.
And he's
Carrying the coffin.
He's just walking.
Yeah, and
he's
he's
just
shooting
walking.
people in the knee.
Great
Yeah,
fun.
it's
Well,
great.
he's walking, I think, with his shotgun and some roses in this.
Yeah,
hand
doesn't he
on.
have a grenade launcher as well at one point?
Yeah, that's right.
He blows up
Great.
the police cars.
I love the psychologist in the. They're gradually becoming more and
More
more
and more
insane
as he goes
That's
along.
really good. I love the Terminator, and very, very tense even today. Great. film to
Okay,
watch.
so
Now, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I think you might recognise this image somewhat.
Slimer.
This one this one
Are you
is
gonna call?
this is one of Dave's, and it's hollow. So I took out the bottom, and if I can remember how to do it, rigged it with some lights.
Oh, great. Great.
That's supposed to be the trap, of
brilliant.
course, underneath him.
That's brilliant.
I thought it was a great
I
model.
thought it was a
loved
great
it.
movie. I loved it because it was so... Well,
then
it was
you did-
Saturday Night Live with Ghosts, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I mean,
It
they all
was,
knew
wasn't
each
it?
other.
They
They all
knew each
mates,
other,
weren't they? Then there was the actual. You did these as well, Dave, didn't
Do
you?
a set of 4 of these. These
Yeah.
are by a guy called Andy Copeland. You might have heard of him before.
Great.
Done a few
likenesses, I
bits.
thought.
I
look
think
at
Quite
that.
fast, I'll be careful.
I mean,
phenomenal.
did you add the wires and
Yeah.
stuff?
I did,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
That
I did,
is
yeah.
proton packs they're called,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, that's
I
it.
mean, look at that. I mean, it's a lovely piece of kit. That I think we've reviewed some of them earlier on. Glasses? Did they come with the
Yeah,
kit?
they did. They
Yeah.
came with it.
Were they 3D
Beautiful.
printed?
Yeah.
God, they're delicate, aren't they?
The whole, yeah, it is quite delicate, the whole thing.
We
but
did
it's
a
a
set of
beautiful
4.
set.
We would prefer to sell them as 4 because it's a bit of a pain
Yeah.
to do them
Yeah.
one. But,
Well, I've got the 4. I've done the 4. I love.
You
I
loved
love
them,
sitting
do you?
there. Great. And you know, should we be talking about it because really it's kind of comedy horror,
Yeah.
but it has
science fiction elements.
it's
It's got
the
it's got
traps
the
and
it rationalises the notion of ghosts with the traps and the containment and all the rest of
Yeah,
it. I love
definitely.
and it kind of goes into a sort of like almost like a H.P. Lovecraft sort of like demon in the distance kind of feel to it.
Actually,
Yeah,
Ghostbusters 2 does that.
does that
perhaps
as well
even
with,
more,
with the portrait. Yeah, it's very
It's
sort
very
of
good.
Lovecraft.
I mean,
yeah, so
and
yeah.
you know, loads of the lines because they knew each other so well. Some of the best lines are totally ad-lib.
Totally
They're not in
ad-lib,
the script at
we
all.
we had a Ghostbusters kit planned, but the guy that was due to sculpt it stopped sculpting basically, and it was a kit that's never been done. A character that was never done out of Ghostbusters. For me, the best part of Ghostbusters was the Terror Dogs. I thought they were amazing.
Oh, the Terror Dogs were very good.
And they've been made. I've got one.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
Tascuda did a Terror Dog, big Terror Dog. If you can get a Tascuda Terror Dog and you've got one you want us to sell me, tell me, I'll have it. It's really nice.
Because it's Harold Ramis, one of the actors,
Yeah,
wrote it.
wrote
you know,
it,
a great.
About
yeah, it's good
Bill
stuff.
Murray is
Stay
fantastic.
Puft, Mr. Stay Puft.
Mr.
is
Stay
fantastic.
Puft.
Everybody remembers
Empty your
that.
brain.
And that-
Empty your mind. Empty your mind.
and that- stop thinking about
Stop thinking!
Mr. Staple. Great film. And then I don't know what to say about the next one. I mean, I absolutely adore it, but I can't recollect any models. Back to the Future, 1985.
No.
I don't know what models you'd make. Perhaps him on the skateboard.
I loved the movie, but I felt
The Doc, maybe.
the doc. You could do the doc. You could.
There was
but-
a set of night. There was
Yeah.
a guy from Europe that did a really nice set of busts of Marty McFly and the Doc. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's as far as you're going to go. With
I
it.
think
I would
that-
have done him with the guitar in front of the huge amp.
Yeah.
But the thing that does come out a lot with that Back to the Future is, do you remember the DeLorean part work that you had to buy over like 60 months to make?
Yeah, but that was the start of the show.
That,
wasn't
that
it?
was the show. It was the car that was the start of the show.
Yeah, definitely.
You know. So I liked it, and it's got massive sentimental value to me for
Great
various
fun
reasons.
film.
I loved the movie.
Not much on regard to GK stuff is there on that one.
Not
I
really.
mean,
I'm
the
trying
bust
to
you
think
do,
of what you could do. Maybe Marty McFly on in Back to the Future 2
Hoverboard.
on a hoverboard.
possibly.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, you know.
I think the more interesting character, but would be the Doc.
I think the
Doc.
Doc's the
Doc,
most,
the Doc.
He's
most
just a little.
character.
Yeah, I mean,
driven
Marty
sort of-
McFly's just a little kid, and he.
Yeah,
Good
but
as he was, you know.
Good as he was, you know.
It's great
As good as he
fun,
was.
and it made lots and lots of money.
Right.
And Zemeckis has done some great films.
Reach
Now
over for
we're on
this.
to the if anybody
Another
disagrees with
Terminator
this,
style.
one of the greatest films ever made, Aliens,
Aliens.
1986. Yeah,
And that's
Aliens.
also by
that's
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
James
yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah.
I preferred the first
Bishop. Is that
movie,
Bishop?
but that's Bishop in the second movie has
Yeah.
been eviscerated, and
I
it
think
turns
that's
out he's
done,
an
but I think
android.
that kit now is available for
Yeah.
Keith Cousins.
That's really nice.
I'm not
that.
sure whether Keith's still doing it,
Yeah,
but if you
well, you
want
can
one of
see.
them, just hit it up. I'm sure it's sculpted by a UK guy called Brian.
Is it Lance Erickson?
Lance Erickson.
Is it Lance
Henriksen.
Henriksen? Yeah, because
Yeah.
Lance Erickson is like High Chaparral,
Yeah.
isn't it? But
And then-
yeah.
I think this is one of yours, Dave.
Oh,
Originally,
No, that's Keith's.
yeah.
Same guy.
I actually lit this, but you can't see it in this light. I don't know. So the idea is a beautiful little egg. That's all it is.
From
I loved it.
Alien.
Yeah. There's some lovely kits.
Oh,
You've got
yeah.
loads.
Darren's. You all know Darren Kent is obsessed with aliens and stuff. Yeah. We've got all sorts. We've got the Newt. We've got the alien. It's massively.
Have you just still did that one of the plaque where you've got the victims sort of coming out of the eggs?
Yeah, that's
really good. That's beautiful.
It is. I mean, and they are. The design work that went into the film.
A real synthesis of science fiction and horror in the original. More sci-fi the second one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
it's more hard sci-fi.
I actually.
There you go.
That goes behind the back of that. I mean, that's
the back of the Alien Queen.
Look, the great
Still there.
Yeah. Wow. So that's one of Darren's that you don't see very often. That's now available. It's a good chunky wall hanger.
What's that, about 5 kilos?
Yeah, it needs to be lighter than that, doesn't it? Really, let's be honest.
I think with that, what I loved about that film as well was the model work with the vehicles. They have that kind of landing tank thing. It comes out of the lander, And I just loved the fact that it was almost like junkyard sci-fi, but there was an identifiable. There was at the same time there was an identifiable stylistic theme that was very much like, basically they were just Marines, but in a spaceship, and there was the same relationships between them, the same issues with the weaponry, the same failure of the tech, and all of that. But it was done in a really, really good way. And one of the scenes that really gets me is when they've got the detectors and they can see the aliens and they go, they're right next to us. Where are they? Where are they? And they're in the ceiling underneath. And that's just an incredible.
I mean, for me, Alien was groundbreaking. Just genius invention. But a little slower. Aliens, I thought, was much more tense and much more frightening.
Game over, man.
Yeah. and Weaver's, Ripley, the character Ripley was brilliant in the second film.
Yeah. The original movie, obviously made in England, went through a massive production in terms of the people that they got on the production values. You can see, like, the spacesuits were designed by a different designer than the spaceships were, and there was lots of very famous people involved in sci-fi art putting together the production, and there was lots of arguments and stuff like that, and like they've got this spacesuit with the cricket pads almost, which is like and you've got all of those different styles that come together to make a really convincing whole universe. I think that's the thing. It's like Stephen King says, the way to write a good horror novel, the way to it's good sci-fi, is to make the world around you convincing. And the world around them was convincing.
Yeah.
And I just felt that the whole thing, that almost oily, greasy sort of dripping water, a gothic feel to it in a spaceship, was a bit of genius.
It was. Yeah. Aliens was the biggest grossing film of the year.
Wow.
E.T., going back to that, was, of course, the biggest grossing film of all time for a long time. Yeah. It wasn't, I think it was Titanic built
Titanic
E.T.
was,
eventually.
Yeah, it was eventually.
Right, the next one, I know is one of your favourite films, which is Predator.
I prefer the original. First two, and then you kind of lose me after that. Right. It gets to the later ones make you realise just how good Predator 2 is.
Yeah.
And Predator 2 and Predator 1. I think in the day we grew up, we were men of a certain age. We grew up in a certain environment where it's a man's film, and we like to watch it. And film. It's like loads of like shooting and big, but it's just.
Having said that, like though, there's a scene where Arnie's trying to hide from the Predator, and he greases himself up with all the mud and stands there like really butch with his like bulky muscles all covered in mud, looking like some sort of like almost like some statue. Renaissance saint who's been sacrificed. I must admit, you say it's a man's film, but my girlfriend said, "Ooh."
Ooh. And my wife's exactly the same. Ooh. Schwarzenegger was it? Because he was fairly big actor then, but he was obsessive. I mean, he the bit where he strips the gun down.
Yeah, he learned
that's really him. He practiced for months to do it.
I just think the first two. I mean, I couldn't get my head around the others. That predators have dogs and all that sort of stuff. And I think they just lost it. I think they just milked it. They did it like Star Wars. They just keep milking and milking. The creature design, I think it's Stan Winston Studios. Steve Wang, who's a Garage Kit legend, by the way, lads, designed it. Apparently, the paint job on the Predator when he painted it from the first movie was based on his lunch. He had a banana and all the spots.
All the spots on the black spots on the black. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Van Damme was originally the first Predator. He was running through the trees, and then it looked awful, so they got rid of him, and then fetched Winston Studios in to redesign the Predator. It looked like some sort of green locust originally.
It did, yeah.
It was awful, but yeah, I mean, we could do, to be honest. I mean, I think
we do a whole episode on Predator.
Yeah, and Aliens. I think we need to, because they need to be more intense, them two. But Predator, the first two, you got that sort of horrible, sweaty.
Do you know why I think it works so well, and why some of the later ones don't? The Predator is only on screen for 8 minutes in the entire film.
In fact, he's got
and the rest of it is the rest of it is just the tension build up, and it's that fear of the unknown. It's what the greatest horror films.
Yeah, it's like at the end when you finally see him takes his mask off, and Arnold goes, "What the hell are you?" And he doesn't say that, but he says, "What the hell are you?" And the Predator goes back, and it's got subtitles, and he goes, "What the hell are you?" And it's that juxtaposition, and that mouth is like it's like a spider mouth.
It's so disturbing.
It's just disturbing,
really and I think the later ones just showed you everything. And I wasn't interested.
I always thought that the natural progression from the second movie would be, the third movie would be Arnie waking up and years after the first attack, and then take the story on from all this other rubbish.
I remember reading the comic books at the time when it first came out. There was Arnie wakes up in New York. And it's in a heat wave.
Yeah, that's
and he looks out because he's been affected by the monster. He can see the Predator ships.
No, he's kept the helmet and he looks through.
He looks through the helmet. You can see the Predator ships above New York.
Yeah. That'd be great.
That would be great.
That was I read the same comic, and I thought that would be Dark Horse Comics. I thought that would be the perfect one to follow up Predator 2. I thought if he like say he's lying in bed having nightmares, picks the helmet up, looks for it, and they're all above him.
The Dark Horse Comics also did Aliens, didn't they? They did Aliens. There's a comic book, an Aliens comic book. I think it's a third sort of compendium, and it's talking about the near future, and it said in the near future there are thousands of TV channels, and you can customize it and watch any channel you want. And there's this like blurb about modern TV, and I remember thinking, any channel you want? Oh, come on, that's ridiculous. Says me. What? Like people making TV programs in their house? Stupid.
But it happened, mate.
But it happened.
What we got now, mate?
Well, the last one's RoboCop.
Because you have 20 seconds to comply.
Yeah. I love the slogan. I've got it here. Part man, part machine, all cop.
Yeah,
It's from 1987.
Tell you what, does that predate the Judge Dredd movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah.
That is somebody, I think it was Brian Bolland or somebody who's the artist, the first artist on Dredd or something like that, was actually considering suing him because that is near enough Judge Dredd. This relentless lawmaker giver is Judge Dredd.
Apparently it was a very unhappy production.
Was it?
Arguments all over the place, disagreements. There were scripts rejected until Verhoeven got it the way he wanted it. He didn't want to do it. He thought the script was rubbish, and then his wife read it and said, actually, it's pretty good. He said, okay, I'll do it. But I think it's a good film. I mean, I don't think the special effects have aged that well. But it's got Verhoeven always wants something serious underneath.
He's got that corporate,
it's
giant
got
feel
corporate
to it.
thing. The whole thing of his
says
loss of identity.
Because you're no longer the CEO, and he goes, "You are terminated," or whatever he says, or bang, shoots him. But
and the recovering memory thing. I mean, there was a lot to hang it together to make it better than just your average robot
the old method behind the story was he wouldn't even let the bloke die. He had to
that's why
get him back to
life. I actually quite like the Gary Oldman remake. Was quite good in the sense that it didn't have the kind of pizzazz that the Verhoeven movie did, but the remake with Gary Oldman,
he made him a bit slicker.
Yeah, he made it. That was a good movie, but I just think the whole thing could have been a bit more souped up. I think it was very low key. Like
I said again, there's still quite a lot of garage kits for RoboCop. There's obviously the RoboCop himself. There's quite a few busts, and again, for some reason, 3D stuff on the files seem to be chucking out a lot of Terminator stuff.
The one I like that I wouldn't mind doing myself is the one just of the head So he's got the
Oh,
mask
the
off,
flip-
and you've got
you
that
flip- you got
face
the-
there.
It's almost like the Terminator, though.
It
that-
is.
Murphy,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Murphy,
it's
Murphy,
more. There's
yeah,
more
yeah.
skin now, more sort of disturbed.
When I first saw that movie, saw it at the cinema, and I'd not really read much about it. I was kind of out of the scene at the time, and I thought, oh, Paul Verhoeven, I remember, yeah, he'd made 2 movies previous to that. One called Amsterdam, which had Rutger Hauer in it. So I thought, oh, that's the guy at Blade Runner, and that's why I went to see that. And he made another one. It's like medieval knights in armour called Flesh and Blood, which is probably the most visceral, gruesome sort of like.
It was. I think it was banned in
It
some
was
counties.
banned in some places, but it was a fantastic movie about these like mercenaries, medieval mercenaries that like went on a rampage over Europe, and a lot of his earlier stuff is very good. It's almost art movies.
Well, he was very
The
arty,
art,
yeah. I mean, that film's got the sort of first biological warfare thing. They sent contaminated meat using traps over the walls, and to kill everybody by disease.
What was the name of the robot that went wrong?
Oh God, the one that shot everybody. What was it called?
I know.
Which was it? The big one on the
big
stairs?
one on the
And it
2
goes,
legs.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
and it falls down the
shoots
stairs.
everybody.
Yeah,
It's something like the T-1000, but it's not.
ED209.
ED209.
Oh well, fancy you plucking
Because
that out.
Horizon, funnily enough, did a Terminator
right.
like that, and then they did an ED209, which was out of scale with the Terminator.
Oh, so you could have them both together.
Well, it was out of scale because
Right.
the Terminator was like not the Terminator. RoboCop was like that, and then the ED209 was the same scale, but he was actually a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's huge.
What are you thinking? I've seen a
Filled the room, didn't it?
RoboCop Batman sort of comic, or a
Possibly.
RoboCop Terminator.
Possibly.
Comic.
Dark Horse
It's like
always
Dark
did them
Horse
sort
hybrids,
of
yeah.
sort of.
Okay, yeah, right,
I mean, Hot
okay.
Toys did a great RoboCop, and he did a
right.
massive ED209, which is worth probably £2,000 now. It's that age, but they were, you know, as we say, that it did spawn quite a few garage kits. I mean, I had quite a few of them. I had the Horizon and I had the ED209. Rachel's painted a few ED209s for customers, so it does spawn a few garage kits. But yeah, so that's that one.
Well, that's it. I missed out dozens, but we
so
can't.
many,
You can't.
I think we've done. That's a general overview of the movies and stuff. But these guys know far more than I do. But we will go back and revisit each film individually. Probably get Mike to come in, and then we'll try and do a more intense sort of. Each one. We'll probably do an Aliens. We'll probably do Predators. We'll probably do the Terminators and stuff like that. And we'll these guys can talk it through, and then I can give you more details on what, because we probably have missed a lot of stuff that's out there, but it's just we wanted to do an 80s one to keep.
I've got to tell you, this guy here, he knows a hell of a lot, and he made a mistake. He said,
What was that?
He said, "Why aren't we doing any Planet of the Apes?" And the answer is,
it wasn't made in the 80s.
none of them in the 80s.
Was the TV series made in the 80s?
The TV series was, yeah.
Can I
but
ask
we're
you-
doing films.
Now, let me ask you. Let's see how good you are. What was the biggest mistake that they did in the Planet of the Apes series? It was a plot, massive gaping
Humans talking.
No, what was it? Think about the storyline. How the apes?
When he was tracking through the.
Did you watch the series?
I did.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
About
it
yeah.
to do with the fact that the
Why
world
were
wasn't
apes?
just?
Why were apes originally fetched into the? Why were humans originally fetched into the apes' house in the first place? Why did you have humans?
Servants?
Sorry?
Pets?
Pets.
Ah.
All the pets, all the animals, all the dogs died in the films, didn't it?
Yeah,
That
dogs
was-
and cats died. That's why people got the
Yeah.
apes in
I
as
don't
pets.
remember
But in the
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
series, there's dogs in the TV series.
It's I think is it the fourth Apes movie, isn't it? When it's set in modern day
That's
times.
why they have
That's
humans
what
as
there was a
pets.
disease that kills all the dogs and cats, and that happens in the new movies as well, doesn't it?
But
the
in the
second
actual
one.
TV series, the farmers and all the what's the names,
have dogs, don't they?
you've got dogs.
Oh, dogs.
Up there, guys.
There you go. I said he knows more than he pretends. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for that.
Excellent.
Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, we will individually, if you want us to concentrate on any particular film, and we'll talk models, we'll talk films with these two sci-fi buffs. I've been Dave. It's been a pleasure.
I've been Bill. It's been a pleasure.
I've been Mike. Live long and prosper.
Oh.
Take care, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit a like, and please leave your comments below. We do enjoy them. We will get back to everybody eventually. We'll do our best. Take care, guys.
Cheers.